Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I am your host, Steve Risser, with my co-hosts Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli. And we have the best 4 days of the sports year today as we begin March Madness. And Justin's got to be really, really excited for it.
Of course.
Yes, we got 4 great days, and everybody's been filling out their bracket. I have been, Justin's been, Kyle's been. And we'll start with the East region with Zion Williamson and Duke, who are in the East region, along with Michigan State, LSU, Virginia Tech, Mississippi State, Maryland, and Louisville. And I definitely picked Duke to win this region. I think even though Michigan State won the Big Ten, I just think the way Duke is played, and now that they're the overall number 1 seed, seeing that they won the ACC tournament and they've only lost 2 games without Zion, and that just shows you the committee definitely judged Duke on their games with Zion, not without Zion. And I think they win this East. I definitely think they win this East region. I know it could be a problem because they start 4 freshmen and 1 sophomore, and Michigan State's a veteran team. I think Michigan State's definitely the team that can give them the most trouble in this region because of they got Nick Ward back. They won the Big Ten. And they also, and Cassius Winston was one of the players of the year in college basketball, one of the best point guards in college basketball. LSU, I just think there's too many problems there. There's way, way too many problems with the head coach and what's been going on there. Yeah, they got some talent. Tremont Waters played at Notre Dame West Haven from New Haven, but still, I think there's just too many problems there. Virginia Tech, Robertson's not back for the tournament, Justin.
Yeah, he is.
He's back for the tournament, but still, I think they got some talent, but they did beat Duke in the regular season, but that was without Zion Williamson. So I think they get to the Sweet 16 but lose to Duke. Mississippi State, I mean, they got a really good shooting guard. Quittenberry? Weatherspoon is really, really good, but I still think they're probably going to lose in the second round of Virginia Tech. That's what I have them doing. And then you got Maryland with Bruno Fernando and Cowan, but I think that they get to the Sweet 16, they beat LSU, but they lose to Michigan State. Then you got Louisville, and they pretty much have been carried by Jordan Noor all year long. So what's your take on the East region, Justin?
My take, I'm kind of with you. We got Duke, Michigan State in the regional finals. I would take Michigan State, but without Langford. They are still a little banged up. Ward's back. I still think that Duke will be able to, but the thing about Duke is I'm worried about is at times they could be very inconsistent shooting the ball, and that's what I worry about with a freshman team. I know they're very talented freshmen, but one night, especially if they play Virginia Tech, who shoots lights out, they're one of the top 3-point teams in the country. This could be definitely a tough out for them. I got Liberty beating Mississippi State. It's a very good team. They went to UCLA, won by 25. LSU. Yale's going to give LSU some problems. That should be a really good game today. I got Minnesota. Minnesota's been playing really well lately, knocking off Louisville. Louisville's kind of gone the other direction since that 23-point debacle against Duke. And so I got to beat Michigan State Duke, but that would be a great regional final seeing those two teams play. That'd be a really good regional final.
Yeah, I think most people have Duke winning these just because with them having Zion, you can clearly tell they're a completely different team. Zion is clearly the best player in all of college basketball. The jumping ability that guy has, he's very good around the rim, not in terms of just dunking. Like in layups, he just levitates. He's good finishing with layups. He obviously does need to improve on the jump shooting and also the free throws, but that comes with I feel you can definitely teach that. I mean, there's no way you're not going to go from the jumping ability of me to the jumping ability of Zion. You can't teach that. It's just not happening. So with them just having that talent back, you can clearly tell that the committee thought they have Zion back. Them without Zion, take it into factor a little bit, but I think overall they could clearly tell that they were the best team with Zion. And I feel like that other than me going against Virginia Tech, that I think it's going to be relatively easy for them to get to the Final Four because when facing Michigan State, I understand they have coaches kind of a veteran team, but I think that Zion is just so good. But the problem with this team that they could have down the road is 3-point shooting and free throws. And obviously, today's game, 3-point shooting does matter a lot. And the teams are smart, they'll, foul Zion so he doesn't have, here's a free dunk or an and one. Make him make free throws. Is he going to be like Shaq in the playoffs where he, for some reason, all of a sudden would decide to go 15 of 17 from the free throw line? Maybe. But if he does that, you can live with that. You don't want to give the guy free dunks all day, every day. But, I mean, I just want to see Duke go as far as possible because I want to see Zion. He's probably, as long as I can remember watching college basketball, he's the most captivating and exciting player that I've ever seen with just his pure highlights. Plays hard on defense. That block that he had, in the corner where it's just like you just watch the guy and it's just like there's certain things you just see in life where it's just like wow, that was wow, and it was levitating across the screen. The guy thought, oh, open three. Zion's like hit him with the Dikembe Mutombo, not today. And it is insane. But I just want to see Duke make it far. But Duke versus they can face Virginia Tech would be fun to watch. And I will say, Duke versus Michigan State would be fun to watch just because the coaching matchup, Coach Izzo knows what he's doing. But I want to see Duke make it far in this tournament.
Oh, yeah, me too. That's a big thing, too, for Duke to go far in this tournament. It's going to be big for ratings because people are watching college basketball, but they want to watch Zion Williamson. That's the big thing right now.
And the rating, real quick, the ratings will plummet. And let's just say they lost early in the tournament. Let's say before the Final Four. Those ratings for the Final Four with Zion compared to without Zion is going to be night and day. It's not even going to be close at that point.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's going to be because Zion is one of the most captivating college basketball players that we've seen in a really, really long time. And if they lose, the ratings will definitely plummet if you don't have Zion Williamson in this tournament. So it's going to be really interesting to see who wins this East region. I mean, Duke is definitely the favorite. They got the overall number 1 seed. Was that a surprise to you, Justin? I don't think it wasn't that big of a surprise to me because the committee took their season when they had Zion Williamson, not when they didn't have Zion Williamson.
Yeah, they did, and it was clear. And when they do have Zion Williamson, right, they are the best team in the country. I think if Gonzaga did beat St. Mary's, I think maybe they could have, or if Virginia won the ACC. They probably would have got it, but I'm not surprised. Duke did end up winning the ACC tournament, so I'm not really surprised.
Yeah, and I think the way that you saw Zion when he came back from his injury in the tournament, when the guy was playing lights out. It's not like he had to kind of get the rust off a little bit, and maybe get like a game or two back. It's like he would step on the court instantly back to being Zion. So I think that just showed how good that team is with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are, I think, the best team in the country with them. That's why I picked them in my bracket to win the championship. Now we go on to the team that a lot of people should have been the number 1 seed. We'll go on to the South region with Virginia. You got Tennessee. You got Purdue with Carson Edwards. Kansas State, who won't have D. Wade in the NCAA tournament. That's true, right, Justin?
Yep, he will not.
You got Wisconsin with Ethan Happ. You got the defending national champion with Villanova. You got Cincinnati, who's going to be playing the first 2 games in Columbus, which could be a big home court advantage when they face Tennessee. You got Oregon, who got red hot to win the Pac-12. And you got one of my upset picks, UC Irvine, to beat Kansas State. And I think in this region, the problem with Virginia is they have to prove it. The last 6 years, a lot of times they've been a number 1 seed. You remember back in 2014, they got to the Sweet 16, lost to Michigan State. 2015, they were the number 2 seed, lost to Michigan State again. And the one we'll always remember was that absolute collapse against Syracuse. They should have been in the Final Four. That was a Malcolm Brogdon senior year. They should have been in the Final Four that year. They completely collapsed against Syracuse, and that game was more like of them losing than Syracuse winning. Seeing the next game that Syracuse played against North Carolina, but yeah, I mean that was a complete collapse. 017, they were down, and then last year was that historic loss, the first number 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, and they were eliminated by UMBC in the first round of the tournament. And that's why I'm taking Tennessee in this bracket. I like Admiral Schofield. I like Grant Williams. I think that they got a really experienced team. Boone at point guard. Rick Barnes has done a really, really good job with this team, and that's why I'm taking Tennessee in this bracket. Also, we got Purdue and Villanova. That matchup can definitely happen right up the road from us in Hartford. And I think actually Villanova gets to the Sweet 16 in this bracket because I think that Nova's experience. And the problem with me with Purdue is they're pretty much all Carson Edwards. They really don't have much outside of Carson Edwards. At least Villanova has Phil Booth. They have Eric Pascal. Samuels has played a little bit better recently. So I think that I would take Nova to go to the Sweet 16. A big game though in this tournament is going to be, say Cincinnati beats Iowa. Cincinnati playing Tennessee in Columbus. That could be very. That probably is going to be like a home game for Cincinnati. So that's going to be I remember you texted me saying Cincinnati got screwed playing Tennessee. I think this is a really good matchup for Cincinnati playing Tennessee if they meet in the second round. And then you got I got Oregon upsetting Wisconsin in the first round. Oregon, I got them going to the Sweet 16 because I got UC Irvine upsetting Kansas State in the first round too. Your take on the South region, Justin?
My take is I do have Virginia. Well, in this bracket, I do have Virginia win the whole thing. I think this is their year. They're a better shooting team. They're so great defensively. I think this is Virginia's year. I think Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, they get it. I feel like this is the year for Virginia to get it. I feel like they have it's set up for them. I feel like, with Wisconsin being a 5 and they play the same style as they do, kind of want to slow down the pace. They want to play in the 60s. Kansas State missing their best player. Let's see what happens with them. And the thing about Tennessee that worries me is this is a very good team. Not one kid on this team is a top 100 prospect. So Rick Barnes has done a great job with development for the team. The thing is, Rick Barnes at Texas has some really, really talented teams, and they really never got to a Final Four. They got to Elite Eight once. That's what worries me. Rick Barnes teams have not sustained success in March. Because I have Villanova actually in the Elite Eight. I'm actually going Villanova. I feel like the experience of Villanova is going to show up in March. It has the last couple of years.
Yeah, but Justin, they have not been able to win on the road at all during the season. I mean, yes, they won the Big East tournament, but they have not been good outside of Villanova.
You could say they kind of. Yeah. When I was at the practices yesterday, Villanova brought some fans, so I think Villanova
have a home court advantage in Hartford.
I feel like Villanova could take that. I feel like Tennessee could definitely beat Villanova, but I think Villanova gets hot. I think they're one of those teams that just get hot towards March. I actually right now, and the thing about Cincinnati is I thought they should have probably been a 6 after winning the American, but it does set up for them playing in Columbus.
I think purposely they put them there so they could play in Columbus.
Yeah, because I felt like they should have been a 6 after what they did last weekend. But I also have Oregon in the Sweet 16. I did take K-State just in the first round just because. They didn't have Wade last year, and they were able to get the Elite Eight. I do have Oregon beating Virginia, Oregon beating K-State to get to Sweet 16. I also have Cincinnati going down to Tennessee, but Cincinnati Tennessee is going to be a really, really good game. But the thing is about mid-Corona teams they don't get out of the first weekend. That's
been the proof. Because last year, they had the biggest opportunity playing Nevada, and they lost.
They blew that 22-point lead. That was their year, and they still could not get over the hump. So I think they will lose Tennessee, but it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I have Virginia winning this region. I had them beating Tennessee, to make it to the Final Four. Just because, they're 8-3 versus top 25, and Tennessee's only 3-4. So I think that could be a potential difference. And also, they shoot relatively the same amount free throw percentage-wise. Tennessee slightly better, but not too big of a difference. And Virginia only gives up 55 points per game. Tennessee gives up a whole 13.5 points more. I think when it comes to March Madness, I think defense has a lot to do with it. And when it's not like a team's like okay at defense. That's amazing to only give up that much. That to me is just crazy. And one of them, a upset that I just have Oregon beating Wisconsin, just because that eventually, at some point during March Madness, there's a upset that for just no reason it just happens. And I just feel like that's just gonna. Just potentially, just that is one of them. Just because I feel like they shoot better free throw percentage-wise because Wisconsin shoots 64.9, Oregon is 71.9. So I feel like that could be the difference. Obviously, free throws matter. There's free points, get them. And Oregon is 5-0 the last 5 games. So I feel like that could be an upset. But I feel like it's going to come down to Tennessee and Virginia. And I just feel like the difference at that point is just going to be that Tennessee has not done as good against top 25 teams this year. Obviously, 3-4. Obviously, if you're a 2 seed, you want to see that higher. You would like to have something like Virginia's record, which is 8-3. So I feel like the reason why this team is just going to make it is because, like you said, they're a lot better scoring wise. It's not like a team that's full of amazing defensive players that struggle on offense, and it's going to be like an ugly, like 5 to 50 wins that they're going to have. But there's going to be games where they're going to, suffocate teams and they're going to blow them out because they're going to score. Teams are going to, struggle to score early, and then they're going to be forcing stuff, and then after that, they get out of what their game plan is, and that's just advantage Virginia. So I feel like Virginia is going to have, I think, a relatively easy time in this bracket up until they meet Tennessee. And I also have Nova making it, and playing Tennessee and eventually losing to Tennessee, just because obviously we all know Nova has experience as well. But I think at that point, just like talent-wise, and Tennessee's just going to show that they're the better team. But I think Nova is definitely going to make some noise. They're not going out quiet, but I feel like this is going to be a relatively interesting bracket, and this is side of the bracket. And I feel like if it ends up being Virginia versus Tennessee, it's going to be one of the more interesting games in the whole tournament.
Yeah, I definitely am looking. If it's Virginia-Tennessee, I'm really looking forward to it because you got a team that's worked their way to get to the top, and then you got a team that's Virginia, who's been knocking on the door for the last 6 years, but has just not been able to finish the deal. So that's going to be really interesting if it's Tennessee and Virginia. Because I got Tennessee in this bracket. You guys got Virginia, right?
Yep.
And you got Virginia too.
Yep. And I think also real quick, they're going to want to show that last year was just an all-time fluke, and I think that's going to show them they're going to be really hungry. So they're going to want to come out guns blazing.
So we got the Midwest region, and this could have a really good Elite Eight matchup with North Carolina and Kentucky. But, I mean, we look at the rest of the region. You got Houston, who had a great year, even though they lost the AAC championship. You got Kansas, who this is probably one of the worst Kansas teams in a while. It's really all Dietrich Lawson, pretty much. They lost Azubuike and Gerald Vick during the season. You got Auburn, who I think could be a surprise with their guard play with Harper and Bryce Brown. Really, really good backcourt. So I think that team Bruce Pearl, that team, they won the SEC. They could be the dark horse team. I think they're the dark horse team in the Midwest region. You got Iowa State with the really good. What's his name?
Shiloh Mayak.
Yeah, he's a really good 3-point shooter. You got Wofford with Fletcher McGee, and then you got a team that's been red hot with Seton Hall with Miles Powell. So my take on this region is I think UNC wins it, and I think they win it close against North Carolina. I think that that game they played in December, Kobe White had not emerged as a really, really good player yet. I think he has. I think he's going to be the difference if they meet. When I have them playing in the Elite Eight, and PJ Washington is not 100%. So if they in the Elite Eight, I have North Carolina beating Kentucky, just like it was 2 years ago when Kentucky had De'Aaron Fox and North Carolina knocked them out, and then they won the national title. And I got Houston going to the Sweet 16. I think them playing their game. I think where are they playing? Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, Tulsa.
Yes, yeah. They're them playing those games in Tulsa, close to Houston. I think that's going to help them. I think Calvin Sampson has done an outstanding job this year. I got them going Sweet 16, losing to Kentucky. Kansas, I got losing in the second round. They may even lose today to Northeastern. Northeastern could pull that upset. I wouldn't be surprised if Northeastern pulled that upset. I got Auburn going to the Sweet 16. As I said, I really like that backcourt of Brown and Harper. Iowa State, I got them winning the game over Ohio State, but then losing to Houston. And then we got the big game tonight. You got Wofford and Seton Hall, and I think that Seton Hall pulls that upset. I think they beat Wofford. Your take on the Midwest region, Justin?
This should be a really good region. Kentucky, North Carolina, have two blue bloods. I do have Kentucky though. I feel like end of game as we saw on Friday night. Roy Williams. That game going on Roy Williams. Friday night.
You are a Roy Williams for a coach that's won 3 national titles. You are a Roy Williams critic.
Yeah, he never called a timeout. It's like, dude, you cannot carry your timeouts till tomorrow night because I own it. You had 3 timeouts. You had 9 seconds left. Drop a play for Luke May or Cameron Johnson. I don't understand them at times. That was,
or at least to get their bearings together, not just like, what do we do? You
can see Kobe White was lost. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna chuck up a 3 and see what happens.
Yeah, and that was a terrible shot.
That was pretty bad. But in this region, now I was thinking about Washington with the way Mike Hopkins being a Syracuse associate for many years under Jim Boeheim, that Washington maybe could give North Carolina a game with that zone, but then I was like, they play Syracuse every year, so they'll be fine against that zone. So North Carolina will be fine in the Elite Eight. I do have Washington knocking off Utah State, but Utah State's a really good team. They knocked off Nevada twice. They almost went to Houston and beat Houston. They had them most of that game. Auburn, I also love Auburn in this region. I really feel like they could beat North Carolina. Last year, though, kind of made me a little bit nervous. They lost by 40 to Clemson in the second round. They got absolutely trounced last year. So that's, I'm kind of a little bit nervous about them right now. But and I do have Northeastern winning today. This is a really good Northeastern team. They have this kid, I'm probably going to botch his name, Visa Pasquetti, Pascu, I'm going to say. He's averaging just 20 or almost 22 points a game. I think they could really beat Kansas. Northeast is playing really, really well right now. So I do have them knocking them off. Iowa State, another sleeper in this region. They're starting to play very well. They played great in the Big 12 tournament. Charlie Mayock's been shooting the ball really well. And Houston last week, besides beating UConn by 35 last week, they didn't really look good in that tournament.
I've said this all year about Houston. And even though I got them going to the Sweet 16, they're just not – they lost Rob Gray. They're not that – Corey Davis is good, but they're not that talented. I think it's just Calvin Sampson doing an outstanding job. I think a team like UCF actually has more talent than them. Yeah,
they have a lot – they're deep too. They're very physical down low. They're pretty good shooting, but, as we see at times, when they miss – when they don't hit shots, they're not great. But you pretty much say about that every team. They're very good.
Would you say they're streaky?
Yeah, I could see they're streaky because UConn was hanging in there for most first half and they get blown out by 4 in the second. But yeah, I think I could see Iowa State knocking them off. And Wofford, I know a lot of people probably are. They were in the top 25 and well deserved to be in the top 25. Fletcher McGee, this team he shoots 42% from three. And he shoots from anywhere. He touches the ball and he could be shooting.
Is it like Steph Curry range, or he thinks he has that?
Yeah, at times, and sometimes it goes in. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them even maybe being in Kentucky. But the thing that holds me back on that pick is that they want to run with Kentucky. So I feel like Kentucky's got more skill guys that I think they'd lose that matchup. But this should be a really, really good one. But I don't be surprised if Auburn and Iowa State get to a Sweet 16 or maybe even one of those two get to Elite 8. Both these two teams right now are playing very, very well.
Yeah, I think this bracket could be one of the more interesting brackets, and one of the ones that could, you could see a lot of upsets and a lot of close games, because I think one of the better games could be Wofford versus Seton Hall. I mean, unfortunately, Wofford's they're 0-3 versus top 25 teams, but they are coming in hot 5-0, and then scoring 83 points per game and giving up only 65 points per game. I mean, that's an amazing ratio. I feel like UNC is the second best team next to Duke. Obviously, they have Kobe White. They're very good down low. Obviously, you could see the 2 games against Duke when Zion wasn't playing. They dominated them down low. Excuse me. But I feel like Kentucky, one of those teams I've been saying all year, where they're one of those teams that it's not the normal Kentucky team in terms of they've always been in the spotlight, all over the place, like Fox Sports, ESPN. You always see Kentucky. They're always getting that, the big push and all that. Now they've kind of been a little bit under the radar, which is, I feel like, is a lot different for a Kentucky team, because obviously you have, you've been hearing a lot about Duke. Also, it was Zion, we all know. UNC, Virginia. So I feel like Kentucky, you're not hearing all that, that much compared to normal, but I feel like a team like Houston could, make some noise. I feel like Auburn could make some noise. UNC, I feel like once they get, obviously I feel like they're going to be obviously beat the 16 seed. We all know. I've had them beating then Utah State. I feel like I had them facing Auburn. I feel like that could be a tough game. I had them then facing Kentucky. That could be a tough game. So I feel like UNC. I mean, it's a possibility. They could lose to Auburn or maybe Kentucky. So I feel like this is one of like I said, one of the sides of the bracket that could be, could go a lot of ways, because it's not going to be an easy road for the number 1 seed. But I ultimately feel like Kentucky won the Blues into North Carolina in the Elite 8 and have North Carolina make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, so I got North Carolina in this region. Who do you got, Justin?
I got Kentucky.
And you got Kentucky too.
I got North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yep.
So out of the three regions, I got Duke, Tennessee, and North Carolina, and you got Duke,
Virginia,
and Kentucky, and you got Duke,
Virginia, and North Carolina.
Gotcha. So we go to the West region, and Gonzaga, who is a really, really good team, has had a really, really good year. We got Michigan, the finalist last year, who got to the national championship game. Got Texas Tech with Jarrett Culver. Florida State, who I think is going to give, if they can get to the Sweet 16, which is going to be hard because today, they can get upset today. In my opinion, I think they can get upset.
They do, and I think Vermont's a good, but the thing is, Florida State is so lengthy.
I know.
Vermont doesn't really have a...
And that's why I think they give Gonzaga trouble in the Sweet 16 if they play. And then we got the huge matchup today with Marcus Howard versus John Morant. That's a great matchup. Then you got Buffalo and Arizona State. Bobby Hurley's facing his program he pretty much built, and he's facing Arizona State. So this should be a really, really, really good West region. And what's your take on the West region, Justin?
My take is right now, I hate doing chalk teams, but right now I got Gonzaga and Michigan again. I may be changing some picks around, I don't know, before noon, but I do have Gonzaga right now. Without Frank Howard suspended for the first game tonight, so if they do get by, they could give Gonzaga a very challenging game with the way that they have that zone, of course. But Tilly is back for Gonzaga, so that really is huge for Gonzaga. They did not look good against St. Mary's. They averaged 87 points a game. They look pretty bad, but again, St. Mary's was playing for their season right there. So they just had one of those off nights. Marquette Murray State's, I think, the best point guard matchup in the first round that's playing right in our backyard, and it's pretty exciting to watch those two guys play. That should be fun. And then Marquette, the problem, what I'm scared of is Marcus Howard is pretty much that whole team. If he's not,
Hauser's okay.
He hasn't been as great lately, but I was expecting Ed Morrow to really step up, transfer to Nebraska. He's been averaging like 5 points a game. I thought he'd come and produce, but really has not at all. So I have Murray State knocking them off. Florida State versus Vermont can shoot the basketball. This is a team that's always there. The problem is they don't really have a big guy. But they got the three Duncan brothers who are all guards. Anthony Lamb, who is one of the top mid-major players in the country, is averaging 22 points a game. He could shoot lights out. So Vermont's going to give them a very tough game, but Florida State sides, I think they will dominate them on the glass. Buffalo and Arizona State, I have Buffalo winning. Arizona State looked absolutely tight last night. But
St. John's was terrible too.
Arizona State, I think, could have won that game by 25. If they were playing they could not stop. They could not break a press, and Buffalo is going to press you. Buffalo's going to get up and down. I know Arizona State does the same thing, but so I think Buffalo gets a Sweet 16 here. I did not like the way Texas Tech played against West Virginia at all last week. So in the Big 12 quarterfinals. So I'm going to go with Buffalo getting there. But Texas Tech's a good team. Jarrett Culver's going to be a lottery pick. This kid from Italy, Davion Mortaretti, he's averaging 14 points a game. He stepped up his game this year. Florida's playing very well too this year. Nevada, the Martin brothers. Jordan Caroline's supposed to be back, but Nevada had not been playing great. They're like 0-3 right now when they score less than 70 points. If they do not get up to 70, 80 points, they will not win. They're not great defensively. And Michigan, I think Michigan to be able to take this region though. Defensively, the only thing I worry about is their depth. With they only play 7 guys, but Michigan's a really, really good team, and they got there last year. They have a lot of guys back. John Tess has been playing a lot of the big guys. So I do have Michigan getting to the Final Four right now in the West region.
This is a region where I have a big time upset, and I actually have Murray State beating Gonzaga just for the sole reason. I just think I want to see more John Morant. That's first of all. I'll just solely admit that I just want to see more of him. But also, I think that he wants to show that maybe that he wants to be the number one pick. That listen, Anjan Zion's getting all the praise, all the shine. Watch me. Because I don't think not many people have seen him play on a consistent basis, and if you see him, end up playing Gonzaga, everyone watches number one seeds, and you get to see him, and he shines in that game. I think he could potentially end up making a valid push, to be the number one overall pick over Zion. A team that I think could actually make a lot of noise in this side of the region is Texas Tech. I mean, 73 points per game, giving up 59. I do like that, that differential there, but I still had them losing to Michigan. I feel like Michigan is ultimately going to beat Murray State, to make it to the Final Four. I mean, I would love to see Murray State beat Michigan and make it to the Final Four and have, have him end up, ultimately facing off against Duke, but I mean, I don't believe in Murray State that much. I'm not going to go that far, but I have a team. I have Buffalo end up losing to Texas Tech in the second round. I have Nevada being Florida, and I think Gonzaga is going to have a tough time versus Syracuse, just because people are just not used to playing against zone coverage. And we obviously all know Syracuse, that's what they play.
Zone defense.
Yeah, zone defense, sorry. Yeah, they're not used to, playing against that. So I feel like that, they're actually going to have a relatively tough game versus, Syracuse in the second round. But I feel like if it does come down to Murray State and Michigan, let's just say it happens, I feel like that Michigan at that point, it's just going to, the differential in talent is just gonna show up at that point, because I mean, Murray State's strength of schedule is 220th compared to Michigan's 31st. That is just, I mean, that's terrible. But I mean, at that point, I mean, you could understand, just because of the whole conference and all that, it's going to be what it is. But if at that point they're just going to show up, and I think ultimately what's going to be the deciding factor for Michigan to make it to the Final Four is that they're 7-3 against top 25 teams, so they faced top teams. They've had good success in scoring 70 points per game, only giving up 58 points per game. I would like to see the free throw percentage be a little bit higher. It's just a hair under 70, but ultimately Michigan ends up winning this region.
I got Michigan winning this region too. So we're going to go to the games now. We're going to start with the first game at 12:15, and talk about this not being a coincidence. Richard Pitino is facing Rick Pitino's old team in Louisville, and I think this is a really close game, but I think Jordan Noor makes the difference. I mean, Coffey and Murphy are really good for Minnesota, but I think Jordan Noor makes a difference, and I think Louisville advances to the next round.
I got Minnesota today. I really like the way they're playing right now. They played well. They got beat up pretty bad by Michigan on last week in the Big Ten quarterfinals, but Louisville's backed into this thing. A month ago, they were looking at 4 or 5 seed. They've gone the opposite direction, so I'll take the Gophers.
I have Louisville, and I love that it's not a coincidence it happened. They made this happen. Of course, let's be honest. We all know this, but the difference is just going to be the free throw percentage, because Louisville shoots about 10 percentage better, and then they score 74.5 points per game and only giving up a hair under 68. So I feel like that's ultimately going to be the difference in the game.
We got a local connection in one of the games today. We got Tremont Waters, who is from New Haven, who played at Notre Dame West Haven, facing Yale. And I don't think it's going to be like it was 2 years ago for Yale. LSU, even though they're a mess right now, LSU is a better team than Baylor was 2 years ago. And I think LSU wins this game by double digits over Yale and advances to the second round.
I think Yale's gonna give them a test. Have
you seen Yale this year?
Yeah, cool. I've won a couple times. They put him and Harvard Sunday.
Name a team he's seen them.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
I've seen
Justin and Alfio's seen every team. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen every team in the I love watching mid-major. But my Oni from Yale, there was, I think they said 21 draft scouts watching him last week in Harvard. He's averaging 18 points a game. He's still a junior too. Yeah, he's a junior still. So he's a really good player. He's going to keep Yale in it. Yale, I thought, should have been a 13 seed, not a 14. This is a good team. They could give – I want to take Yale, but I am going to take LSU. And Tremont Waters, too, his top 5. Yale is actually in his top 5. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's his hometown
That's
team.
surprising.
Yeah, I have LSU winning. If it was – I mentioned, Yale's not a bad team by any stretch of imagination, but I feel like if it was just a slightly better team, all the issues that LSU was having would end up, being their downfall. But I think just being the difference also with the strength schedule, 132 for Yale compared to 26 for LSU. I feel like that could be the difference. Both teams are actually pretty good at shooting free throws. 75.4 for LSU and 73.6 for Yale. But ultimately, LSU's talent, all that is going to be what's going to end up getting them the victory.
Yes, so we got another first-round matchup, Auburn and New Mexico State, and that game starts at 1:30, and I think New Mexico State doesn't have enough scoring, and Auburn wins by double digits.
Yeah, a lot of people have gone with New Mexico State for their 5-12 upset special.
Yeah, I don't know why they're a 12 seed. They have no scoring.
No, they don't, and the WAC's not great. They're always here, and they always usually lose by 15, 20 points. I feel people are saying because the way Auburn won the SEC, they're playing hot right now, but I feel like Auburn's going to carry this momentum. I feel like they will win by this game by 15, 20 points. One of the best last names on this New Mexico State, that guy, Trayline Queen. I think so. Pretty cool last name, but I think they'll win by about 15.
Yeah, I think Auburn's going to end up blowing them out. I mean, again, I hate harping up the same thing, but strength of schedule. 15 for Auburn, 207, for New Mexico State. And New Mexico State, they only face one top 25 team, and they're 0-1. So I just think it's going to be like 15, 20-point blowout win for Auburn.
The first game in Hartford today is the Catamounts of Vermont facing the Seminoles of Florida State. And I got Florida State going to my Elite Eight, but I think this is going to be a tough game because, Vermont's is close to Hartford. They're going to have a ton of fans there. It's going to be kind of like a road game for Florida State. And, the way Anthony Lamb's been playing, averaging 21 points a game, they blew out UMBC in the conference championship game. So, I think Florida State will win, but I think this game will be close. And I think Florida State by single digits beats Vermont.
Yeah, I'd take Vermont if they had size. They don't really have that. They start 4 guards, I want to say, so they don't have the size.
And they won't be able to match up with those 2 bigs.
Yeah, that's the issue. I feel like they're gonna struggle on the boards. But don't be surprised. Anthony Lamb, Ernie Duncan, another one, one of the three brothers on this team. Good. This is a good Vermont team, though, but I feel like they're going to fall short.
Yeah, I feel like Florida State's going to win. I mean, Ernie Davis is shooting 42.5 points, or percent from 3-point. So I feel like that's going to keep him in the game. Shooting's going to keep him in the game. But ultimately, FSU's going to end up winning. I feel like it's going to be a pretty close. It's about maybe a 6-7 point win for Florida State.
Yes, we got a big game. We got a big game with Maryland and Belmont. Belmont, who won that first round matchup there. Dylan Windler did not have a good game. He has to have a better game for him to beat Maryland, and that's why I think they won't have the inside scoring they had against Temple. They won't have the inside scoring that they had against Temple, and I think that Maryland wins this game. I think Maryland wins it by about 10 points. Bruno Fernando and Cowan are the difference, and I think Maryland moves on to the second round.
I got Belmont today.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like Belmont. I like the way they play. And the thing that worried me about Maryland is they're the 4th youngest team in the country. And Belmont goes on these runs where we saw the other night where they went on like a 19-6 run. They went up by 9. That's where I feel like Maryland is, as a 6th seed, as a higher seed, I feel like they will get tight. And that's why I will take Belmont. I feel like Belmont's going to have one of those runs. And look what Dylan Wilder, Temple's a very good team. Van Dunphy was a great coach. So they beat a good Temple team, and I feel like they're going to be able to carry that. I feel like they're playing very well. I feel like Weiler will have a better game today. And I feel like Belmont will be able to knock them off. And this is a team I think could get to the Sweet 16. This is a good enough team.
I have Maryland winning. I think whoever ends up winning this game is going to be. I think it's going to be a buzzer beater. Last 30 second. It's going to be a close 1-score game. Belmont scoring 87 points per game. That's insane. That's amazing. Very, very good. But Maryland's given up 65 points per game. So they're a better a lot better defensive team than Belmont. But I feel like that's ultimately defense is gonna end up giving them a win. But this is gonna be, I feel like, one of those pick'em games. It could be going either way in March Madness. It's very well possible it could end up being an upset because we all know every year crazy things happen. It could be, a full court, shot at the end of the game, Hail Mary, and it ends up going in, and Belmont wins. But I think Maryland's going to hold on, shot at the end of the game, end up winning them for him.
Kansas opens the NCAA tournament facing Northeastern. I think this game could potentially be an upset. I think Kansas has pretty much been all Dietrich Lawson all year. They don't have LeJarek Vick. They don't have Azubuike. But I think they win this one close. I think they win it by about 6 to 7 points, and I think they move on to face Auburn in the second round.
I got Kansas in this bracket that I have, but I have Northeastern a couple. I think Kansas will be able to survive. The thing I worry about Northeastern is they start 4 guards. One of them is 6'6", but they are a little bit small. They only play 7 guys. But I feel like Kansas will be able to wear them down. But Northeastern's a very, very good team. This should be a very close one, but I will take Kansas close.
I feel like Kansas is going to win a close game as well. I just feel like what the difference for them is that they've been battle tested. They have the number 1 strength of schedule in all of college basketball. I feel like that's going to, got them. It's going to get them used to facing tough games, which every game essentially is a tough game in this bracket. So I feel like that's ultimately what's going to end up winning them. The only thing that I feel like could be a potential downfall for them is that, they do shoot 70, just a hair under 70% from the free throw line, and Northwestern does shoot. Northeastern does shoot 75% from the free throw line, but I feel like ultimately them being battle tested throughout the year is going to what's end up giving them Kansas. It's going to be, I feel, about a 5-6 point victory for Kansas.
We have a huge matchup down the road here in Hartford with 2 great players, Marcus Howard and John Morant, and I think this is going to be a close game right to the end, and I think John Morant outduels Marcus Howard, and I think Murray State advances to the second round.
Yeah, and the thing about Murray State is they have 3 other starters who average over 10 points a game, so it's just not all Morant.
In a bad conference, though.
Yeah, I know, but they still have Belmont. I know, but I still feel like it's a good team. You guys all hate on the mid-majors. I
feel like real quick, even though if it is a bad conference, it's not like John Morant's just scoring 40 a game or something. It's John Morant and scrubs. It's not. I mean, they definitely are contributing.
The thing I try to tell people, it's still Division I basketball. These kids are so most of these guys from mid-majors are going to go play overseas somewhere. So, and they're still playing Division I basketball, but at a lower level. But I feel like Murray State will be able to get it done. Marcus Howard didn't shoot great at Big East tournament. Even yesterday, shooting around, he didn't really look that great. He's kind of a little bit frustrated. It looked like he hit a couple late, but he kind of looked like he was frustrated early. We'll see this more today what happens, but I will take Murray.
Yeah, I feel like the difference in this game is just going to be John Morant. He, again, like I said earlier, he's going to want to show that he is the number 1 pick other than Zion. He's going to want to get his name out there because I feel like a lot of people just have not seen them play. And, people, once they see him play, they're going to kind of be like, whoa, like this guy's talented. He's going to start making noise. And then he's going to get a valid argument that he could be the number 1 overall pick, right there with Zion. But I feel like they'll end up just pulling away because that Murray State is just going to show that they're not just, John Morant and randoms. There are other people who are going to want to, step up and show that they are, a valid team and not just a one-man band.
We got Florida facing Nevada in the first round, and I'm going with Nevada. I think they got better inside scoring. That's why I'm going to go with Nevada.
I'm going with Florida. They've been playing very well. Beat LSU twice the last 2 weeks, so I feel like they're playing well. They're getting hot at the right time. Nevada kind of going the other way. The Martin brothers, they're still pretty good, and Jordan Caroline both be back tonight for Nevada. But Florida's been playing well. I feel like Nevada's going to struggle because if they don't, I feel like if they don't get their points, they don't win. And I feel like Florida's be able to shut them down, keep them under 70, 75, and I feel Florida will be able to take it. I
have Nevada end up winning just because they're a lot better of an offensive team. They're averaging a hair under 81 points, and Florida's only scoring just a touch over 68. And with Florida being 2-9 versus top 25 team, I feel like ultimately that's going to be the downfall then.
Another matchup up the road here in Hartford, we have Villanova and St. Mary's, and I think the duo of Pascal and Booth is going to overtake St. Mary's. I mean, St. Mary's has a really good player in Jordan Ford, but I think the duo of Pascal and Booth is going to beat them. I think it's a close game, but I think Villanova advances.
Yeah, I think Villanova's going to win a close one. St. Mary's is very good defensively. I feel like they're going to keep it close against Nova. I think Nova, with the experience, I think they're going to be able to pull it out. And then St. Mary's only giving up 64 points a game, but it'd be a good one.
Yeah, I feel like Nova's going to win a close game. Ultimately, what's going to win in the game is that the experience of that, of the team, and especially with their head coach, is going to what's ultimately going to win them in the game.
Seton Hall and Wofford play tonight, and I think the difference is going to be I think Seton Hall is going to contain Fletcher McGee the way they contained Marcus Howard during the season, and I think Seton Hall advances.
This would be a really, really good one. I know not too many people watch Wofford. They were in the top 25. This is they can shoot the basketball. I feel like Wofford to be able to win this one. Yeah, and the thing is too about Wofford is they play good team stuff. You know, they went to South Carolina, won by 20. They lost by 9 to Mississippi State. They lost close to Oklahoma. They had North Carolina on the ropes. They lost by 9. They beat them last year though. And also they have Nathan Hoover, who's averaging 14 points. He can also shoot the ball for Wofford. They have a couple guys that can shoot. They can get up and down the floor and score. This should be a fun one. They could definitely give Kentucky a run for their money.
I think I have Wofford winning just because they're the better defensive team. They're a better offensive team. They both have about the relatively the same free throw percentage. So the better offensive team, better defensive team. I'm picking Wofford.
Last game tonight, Syracuse and Baylor. I think Tyus Battle being back makes a difference. Syracuse advances.
Yeah, but Frank Howard being suspended. The thing is, we saw in the beginning of the season, especially when they played, UConn, when I really watched Syracuse play. Offensively, they're not great without Howard as their point guard. But I feel like that zone, I felt like UConn's played that zone many times, even though Dan Hurley's a new coach. But I feel like they will be able to take Baylor in a close one. It should be a go at the end of the night.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a close game as well. Teams are not used to facing that 2-3 zone that Syracuse plays. And ultimately, Jim Boeheim, again, experience is going to win the game for Syracuse.
We go to Friday's games, and the first game is Iowa and Cincinnati, and the matchup between Jeff Cumberland and Tyler Cook. And I think being in Columbus is going to make the difference for Cincinnati. Cincinnati wins that one close.
I'm going to say I think that will be able to pull it out. They're very inconsistent shooting the basketball. And if Jared Cumberland does not have a great game, the team does not. And that what worried me, but I feel like they're going to be able to pull it out. But one of the clutchest players in college basketball is Jordan Boeheim. This kid, really late in the game, this kid hits any shot. So late in the game, though, I'll be a little bit of nervous. Don't let Boeheim touch it. But Cincinnati, I think, will be able to pull it out.
Yeah, I feel that Cincinnati's gonna pull it out. I think just because they're coming in the hotter team, they're 3-2 in the last 5 versus Iowa, who's only 1-4. You like to see a team come in, not 1-4. Obviously, you like to see as hot as possible, which Cincinnati is the hottest team now. The only thing that does have me worried is that they are 1-4 versus top 25 teams, but they have a slightly better strength of schedule, not anything ridiculous. But I feel like ultimately they're the better defensive team. They're giving up about 11.5 points less per game than Iowa. So I feel ultimately that's winning the game is defense.
We got a matchup between Oklahoma and Ole Miss, and I think Breon Tyree outplays Christian James. I think Ole Miss wins.
Yeah, Ole Miss will get this. Kermit Davis done a great job with his team. Won SEC Coach of the Year, which is very deserving. This team really, nobody ever thought about this team being an 8 seed at this point. He's done a great job. Oklahoma was kind of backed, and they did not look very good last week in the Big 12 tournament, so he knocked out in the first round TCU. So I feel like Ole Miss will take it.
Both teams are coming into the tournament not that hot. I mean, Ole Miss is 1-4 last 5. Oklahoma is 2-3 in the last 5. But the big difference is going to be free throws because Oklahoma shoots at a 69.1% clip and Ole Miss shoots it at a 78.3, which I feel like is a very big difference. And 78%, especially in college, is a very, very good percentage for free throws. I feel like that's going to come down to the game is who makes the free throws. Ultimately, Ole Miss is going to do that, so they're going to win the game.
We got Texas Tech facing Northern Kentucky, and I think Jarrett Culver is too much in it, and Texas Tech wins by double digits.
Yeah, they're going to be too much.
Did you watch Northern Kentucky?
I did watch their championship game. This team's been in there like a couple of years. They've only been D1 for 5-6 years. This is like their second or third time they're in the tournament. Doing a great job with that program. I feel like they don't have enough. I feel like Texas Tech hasn't been playing great lately. They're not great at Northern Kentucky's not great at the free throw line, shooting like 66%, something like that. So not great. They can score. They're decent defensively. They average just under 40 rebounds a game as well. I think they can keep it close for a little bit, but But Texas Tech defense it's not as good as Virginia's, but it's very, very good. It's a step behind Virginia's. They forced 23 turnovers when they played Duke. So.
Yeah, I feel ultimately Texas Tech. It's going to be a close game in the first half, and then second half they're going to pull away. The both teams are coming in hot, 4-1, last 5 for Texas Tech, 5-0 for Northern Kentucky. Like you said, they're very good defensively, giving up only 59.3 points per game. Ultimately, defense and better free throw percentage is what's going to win in the game.
We got my upset pick of the week, and that's UC Irvine against Kansas State, I think, because Dean Wade is out, and I like UC Irvine playing in California, and I think they upset, as the 13th seed, upset Kansas State. Have you seen UC Irvine?
I watched a few minutes. Their kind of tournament was at like 11:30, so it was tough to watch, but I did watch a little bit. They rebound the basketball. They average 41 boards a game. They average 12 on the offensive side. How about this Max Hazard though? He's averaging 13. He really stepped up his game during the Big West tournament. He could really well put up 23 in the conference final. Watch out for him. I feel like Kansas State without Dean Wade last year got to the Elite Eight, so I feel like it's a different team a little bit, but I do have Kansas State pulling it out. I do have Irvine though in a couple, but
how many brackets do you have?
I made 30 ESPN ones. I made 30 for the CBS one.
Wow.
Yeah. I did it at work the other night, so
Nice.
Yeah, but so I feel like Kansas State will be able to pull it out.
Yeah, I feel that Kansas State's going to end up winning too. I feel like this is going to be one of the games that you could very well see an upset just because both teams are coming in hot. 4-1 for Kansas State, 5-0 for UC Irvine. But I feel like the difference ultimately in this game is that UC Irvine has not faced a top 25 team. Their strength schedule is 262 versus Kansas State 30th. That is a tremendous difference. So I feel like they're not that balanced. So I feel like they might not be used to the pressure of the NCAA tournament. And I feel ultimately that's gonna be the downfall. I feel like it is gonna be a close game, and I feel like it could come down to the wire probably the last 2 minutes, and Kansas State's gonna end up pulling it out.
So we have the program that Bobby Hurley built in Buffalo against the program that he currently coaches in Arizona State. And I think this should be a really, really good game. But I think Buffalo's experience, pulling that upset over Arizona last year, winning a tournament game, I think they win another tournament game this year, and I think they beat Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State. We saw it last night. They played very tight. They turned the ball over a lot. Buffalo forces just under 16 turnovers a game, and they're going to press you. They're going to get down the floor. And Nate Oates, who now is the head coach, was assistant under Bob Hurley at Buffalo. So two guys that know each other very well, been on the same staff. And Nate Oates deservedly got like a 5-year extension from Buffalo to stay there. I'm surprised he didn't go anywhere else, or he's not going to go anywhere else. But I think Buffalo's going to win that, as well as that fact that he did sign a contract extension. Guys going to be excited for him. So.
Yeah,
get the Bulls.
Yeah, I feel like Buffalo's gonna end up winning because they're better defensive team, better offensive team, slightly better in free throw percentage, not a big difference, but I think ultimately Buffalo's gonna end up winning. I feel like it's gonna be relatively close, probably 6-7 point game.
Interesting matchup here between the Pac-12 champion Oregon against Wisconsin. And I think a lot of people are picking Oregon to pull this upset, and I am too, because I think that even though they lost Boyle early in the season, I think their rim protection is going to contain Ethan Happ. And when you can contain Ethan Happ, Wisconsin is very, very beatable. And I think in this game they're going to be. They don't shoot the ball that well. I watched a little bit of their game in the Big Ten tournament against Nebraska. Wisconsin doesn't shoot the ball that well. And I think that's definitely going to make a difference in this game. And I think Oregon wins it close and pulls the upset.
Yeah, I think Oregon's going to get this. They've won 8 straight. They've won 9 of the last 10. I love Dana Altman as a coach. And Oregon had a top 5 recruiting class, too, this year. So they got some talent. Peyton Pritchard, who's actually not a freshman, but he's added 13 points. He's their leader. I've seen Oregon play a couple times. They're playing hot, and I love Dana Altman as a coach. Ethan Happ, though, terrible at the free throw line. He's one of the worst. He's like 47%. It's actually Jay Happ's the younger brother.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So Brad Davison is a decent shooter. That's all they really got. So you could double Ethan Happ all you want, and you could if Wisconsin hits threes, it's just their lucky day. So contain Ethan Happ is the key. And I think Oregon's be able to pull that out.
Yeah, I feel like the difference in this game is just going to be free throw percentage. I mean, like you said, Wisconsin, that's not their specialty. I mean, they're shooting 64.9% from free throw line. That's not good at all. Oregon is shooting 71.9%. So, that's above average, I feel like you could say. So I feel like that's definitely going to end up being the difference of the game, and Oregon's going to end up winning that game.
We got Washington and Utah State, and I think in this game, Sam Muriel is going to be the difference. I think Utah State wins it over Washington close.
Yeah, I do. I'm taking Utah State. So zone, though, it's not as good as Syracuse's court, but the dynamic is the same. So we'll see how Utah State's able to handle it. But this is a very good team. They hung in with Houston. They've beaten Nevada twice. Logan Merrill is Utah's top guy. Watch for him. He's averaged about 20 a game, I want to say. It's his name, Sam Merrill, not Logan. But very good team, Utah State. I think they'll pull it out. Washington did not look very good. They're not very good shooting the ball.
Yeah, I feel like Utah State's going to end up winning the game because they're coming in hot, 5-0 in the last 5. They're averaging 79 points per game, which is pretty good. They shoot very good from the free throw line, just a hair under 75%. And ultimately, offense is going to end up winning them the game.
we have Houston going up against Georgia State in the first round. And remember Georgia State a couple years ago pulled up an upset, and I think they got some tournament experience. Same coach?
Yep.
Same coach, Hunter.
Ron Hunter.
They got some experience, but I think Houston beats them. But I think the game's closer than people think. Houston, Calvin Sanchez has done a great job, but I think they lack some talent. Corey Davis is good, but I think Houston lacks some talent, and I think Houston wins it close.
Yeah, I think Houston will be able to pull it out. Georgia State got to watch, average 18 points a game. DeMarcus Simmons, he's a bit of a head case, though. He's got some problems with the coaching staff and all that. So he's a guy that if he gets flustered, you'll be okay. If you fluster him, you'll be okay. Houston, I do really love Houston. I really like. They play well.
You're AAC biased.
You can call me that a little bit. I can, but I'm not big on Cincinnati, but I do want to take what I saw at Houston after the UConn game. I was really looking forward maybe putting them in the Final Four. Not anymore. I think they will win this game though.
I think honestly Houston's going to win by about 10 to 15 just because they're averaging almost 12 giving up 12 points less than Georgia State. And I feel ultimately again defense is going to end up winning in the game.
We got Liberty and Mississippi State, and I think Witherspoon makes the difference. Liberty doesn't have that much scoring. I don't know why they're a 12 seed, and I'm taking Mississippi State by 10 points.
This is a good team. I really like this Liberty team.
You see them a couple times?
Yeah, they played Georgetown. I did not see when they played UCLA because on the Pac-12 Network, but I heard they won that game by 25 points. They absolutely housed them. This is my upset special, right? I got Liberty winning this one. Their big guy, they got a couple guys that are really good. Scotty James averages just over 13 points a game. So I think Liberty's gonna be able to pull this one out. Mississippi State hasn't been playing great recently. I think it is Witherspoon. or one of them suspended. They do have somebody suspended. I can't remember who it is. So I think that's gonna hurt Mississippi State.
I ultimately think Liberty's gonna end up beating Mississippi State because with the free throw percentage, they shoot 77% from the free throw line. That's very, very good. And they're coming in a hot team, 5-0 in their last 5 compared to Mississippi State, who's 2-3. And I feel I feel like this way they're going to feel like they're kind of playing with house money. It's like if they lose, people are going to be like, they kind of expect you to lose. But do you win? You're going to be like the talk of the town. So ultimately, they're going to end up winning in the game. It's going to be a close one, but I feel ultimately they will win the game.
UCF faces VCU, and I think UCF's the more talented team with B.J. Taylor and Aubrey Dawkins. I think they win this game.
Yeah, I got UCF too. Be kind of cool to see Taco versus Zion. It'd be a cool matchup. But yeah, I got UCF. Johnny Dawkins looking to get UCF their first ever win in the tournament. I think they will get it. VCU's best player is questionable. Got hurt during the A10 quarterfinals, and they did not look very good when they lost him. He's their shooter. So I feel like UCF's going to be able to take that away. You can't drive on UCF because of Taco. He's a statue in there. You really can't.
Even though he can't score at times.
Yeah, they can't. But B.J. Taylor, Aubrey Dawkins, they're both pretty streaky. But that they get on, they can hit them.
Yeah, I feel like UCF is a more talented team. I do have them winning, but the main problem I have with them that could be ultimately a downfall in this game and any game throughout the tournament they end up making is shooting 64.5% from free throw line is not good. So I feel like ultimately that could be a downfall for them, and that's obviously a big point where they're going to struggle. But I feel like they are going to pull out the victory versus VCU.
Got Iowa State and Ohio State, and I think Iowa State wins by 10.
Yeah. I think Iowa State to be able to pull this one out. Going into the Big 12 tournament would worry me. They lost 4 out of 5, but they look good against Baylor. They look good against K-State. They look good against Kansas. So I feel like they're coming in here. They got some rhythm. They got some shooters. I feel like they will be able to take Ohio State, who hasn't played great. They beat Indiana. It was pretty much a playing game, and I think Iowa State will be able to beat them.
Yeah, I think Iowa State's actually going to win by a blowout. I think it's probably going to be about a 15-point game. They're 3-2 in the last 5. Ohio State is 1-4 in their last 5. Ohio State's 1-8 versus top 25 teams, which is terrible. Iowa State's 6-3 versus top 25, which is obviously a lot better than 1-8. And I feel like they pretty much shoot the exact same from the free throw line, but Iowa State does have a better offense, averaging just a 77.4 points per game. But ultimately, Iowa State's going to end up blowing out, like I said, by about 15 points.
And lastly, we'll talk about Virginia Tech and St. Louis, and I think Virginia Tech wins by 10.
Yeah, St. Louis, good team. Javon Best and Jordan Goodwin are the two guys to watch out for. Very good team, St. Louis. I feel they're playing well. I will take Virginia Tech. They can shoot the basketball. One of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, I feel like Virginia Tech is going to win because, like you said, they shoot very good, and also the free throw line. I mean, look at this difference. Virginia Tech shoots 75.8% from the free throw line, and St. Louis shoots 59.8%. That is terrible, and I feel ultimately that's going to be a big difference. I feel like it's actually going to be a blow. I feel like it could easily be a 20-plus point victory.
Yeah, and you can't win that way. So that's going to wrap it up this week for Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-host Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week previewing the Sweet 16 and the Major League Baseball season. Enjoy March Madness, everybody.